Hi, I'm Sonia Durai. Thanks for joining us. This is Voices of Somerville, a program of the City of Somerville's Health Department and the Office of Somerville Commissions and the Communications Department. So thanks for coming along. We're going to be talking about credit unions and how credit unions are part of our community. And so with us today is Roy Dominguez. He is the Chief Executive Officer or CEO of the Cambridge Portuguese Credit Union. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here. I'm looking forward to our discussion, conversation, and I appreciate the opportunity to come out and talk about credit unions in general. It's something that I have a passion for, and I'm more than happy to be able to share it with you. So
the show is called Voices of Somerville, and so we're just looking at how credit unions have grown in our community and what voice do they lend to Somerville. So do you want to start off maybe a little bit about the history of maybe credit unions? And we have a clip we'll be able to show, so we're going to have a good show.
Sure. Credit unions have been around, believe it or not, since the late 1800s. They were started, and then they moved over to Canada. There was a gentleman by the name of Mr. Desjardins who started a credit union in Canada. And soon after that, he introduced the credit unions to the United States, and the first credit union was actually founded in New Hampshire, and which is back in 1908. That credit union is still there today and still functioning, growing. And it was shortly after that, it was 1910, that they were introduced to Massachusetts. And the first credit union that was opened in Massachusetts was actually St. Jean's Credit Union in Lynn, which is still in operation today, so a little over 100 years. So the credit unions have a long, long history of being around. Now you're talking about the community and the importance of the credit unions in the community. They are a huge relevance to the community. And just looking back, in the 1970s, there was about 20,000 credit unions across the country. So from 1910 to 1970, there were 20,000 credit unions formed in this country. Credit unions are not as well known as banks, and there's a few reasons for that. And some of the reasons were because they were formed by people who had a necessity. For instance, there may be a particular industry, maybe in the agriculture industry, that at the time did not have access to financial products. So they decided to establish their own credit union so they could help each other. So they would take the deposits from their members, deposit in the credit union, and then use that same money to lend it to other people in that same industry. So that started that process. And for instance, other ones started by different ethnic groups that had difficulties accessing the banking industry. And they said, we need to have a place where we can keep our money and lend it to each other. Therefore, we're going to create our own credit union to help each other out in this process. So they evolved. And then during the 1970s, there started to be a decline. I think there was a lot of change from the government standpoint, a lot of regulation that came through. And quite honestly, there was a big change in a lot of the industries. A lot of industries that vanished. Therefore, the credit unions also ended at that time. You talk about the Industrial Revolution, talk about all these different revolutions that happened along the way. And with that, these credit unions also, quote unquote, felt the pains. But most of them actually merged into other credit unions as well. And so now, just to give you an idea, nationwide, there's about 7,000 credit unions. In Massachusetts, there's about 205 credit unions. And to bring it down to our local area and Metro Boston, there's about 45 credit unions in this area, just within the Metro Boston area. But statewide, there's 205.
And if you remember, It's a Wonderful Life, George is running around trying to stop a run on the bank.
Yep.
And what's the difference between that old community bank and a current local neighborhood credit union?
Well, let me just tell you how the credit unions are established, how they were established, and what is their model, and how we operate, and then we can relate to that. The credit unions are owned by their members. So anybody who has an account at a credit union is an owner of the credit union. They have a democratic system where the members of the credit union actually vote for the people that are elected to the board of directors, which is a volunteer board of directors. So our goal as a credit union is actually to serve the needs of our members. So I don't have, as a CEO, I don't have to pay shares or dividends to stockholders because my board is an unpaid board of volunteers. So our focus, which allows me to focus on the members. Now, in terms of how does that relate to that, we are a community credit union, and the credit union has the community in its best interest. So our goal is to, through our members, through other local organizations, is to benefit the community. Now, there's a lot of local banks that do great job. There is no doubt about that. And is that a difference? Yeah, there's different philosophies in terms of the banks and the credit unions. But I'm a strong believer that every city should have a credit union, a community credit union, that you have as an alternative, that for some reason you feel like, you know what, I want to be part of an organization that has a different model, a model of I want to be part owner, I want to have a voice, I want to come in and talk about my needs as an owner of the organization. So from that sense, I mean, you compare it to the movie clip, the credit unions are under that philosophy of people helping people. They have the philosophy of saving together to lend to each other. So that's how I related to that, is that what is our role and what do we do? And for instance, CPCU here in Somerville, our role is actually very simple. I mean, we are here to serve the needs of our members. I mean, without that, we serve no other purpose. Right. I mean, I don't have pressures from somebody else to fulfill their needs.
Yeah. So it's profit at the community level, the community profits, the members profit, right, as opposed to sending your profits off to other cities, correct, to disengaged owners.
Right. Obviously, we take local deposits. We invest our money locally. Right. I mean, we're not making investments across the country. Not making investments, in different parts of the world. We try to do is take those local funds and invest those in the local community by lending to people that have lending needs. Yeah. We are a not-for-profit organization. Therefore, we have to be profitable, obviously, to run our operations. But that's not the driving force, and that could be sometimes the big difference between the credit union and the banks, where they're more profit-driven versus us, we're a not-for-profit organization.
In the community sense, you have we talked about the history of credit unions being either for an industry or for an ethnic group. I know that we have. I think you and I have chatted about the ethnic community, the immigrant community, each creating their own, just to share neighbor to neighbor. So, what are the benefits that our local immigrant community can get from a credit union that they may be familiar with, that they may have? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sonia. I mean, that's a great benefit. Number one, I mean, being a credit union that was formed in 1928, CPC Credit Union 1928, by local immigrants, in this case Portuguese immigrants, we've carried that tradition, that model throughout the years. And here we are 85 years later, and we're still sensitive to the needs of the immigrants. Right. So I myself am an immigrant. Most of my staff are immigrants. They speak multiple languages. And we are open to anyone who has those types of needs. So when you come in, it doesn't matter where you're coming from. It really doesn't matter whether you're Portuguese or non-Portuguese. There's a certain amount of sensitivity from our staff to understand your background, your needs, your challenges coming into a new community. So when you come in, you feel comfortable that, hey, these people are accustomed to dealing with people who are immigrants, who are new to the country and have challenges in establishing credit and just getting basic banking services.
Right. If you think about the resources that you do offer to your community bank, and so you're connected locally, you give some empowering tools to help your customers, your owners, start to become informed. And I think that's also part of your process, is to take someone who's unfamiliar and to make them familiar.
Exactly. I mean, via the one-on-one discussions we have, and I speak of financial literacy. I mean, that's our interest, is to teach people English is one of our functions. We try to do that through partnerships that we have with places that will do that for our members. So because we figure that if people have speak English sufficiently, understand it, the basic language, they are less likely to become victims of financial fraud or financial problems. The other part of it is actually educating them, and through financial literacy, on, what is a mortgage, what is a checking account, what is a credit card, how to use a credit card. So all these different things that I don't want to just give them those products. I want to make sure they understand how to use those products, because as we all know, that those products can be harmful.
Right.
If you don't utilize the credit card the proper way, you could find yourself in a lot of debt and having bad credit, and to recover from that is very difficult and very costly. Mortgages, for instance, we talk about what does a credit union do for the community. Obviously, we've heard about the crisis recently that happened, and a lot of people had a lot of problems. A lot of them had mortgages that, quite honestly, they did not understand the type of mortgage we have. I'm proud to say that CPCU, as a local organization, did not have one single foreclosure throughout this whole crisis. As a matter of fact, we helped people get out of the situations that they were in.
Wow.
So that speaks volumes as far as how the part that we get involved in, the type of lending that we do, that I would call conscientious lending, where if you qualify for a loan, we think the loan is good for you and for the credit union, you're likely to get that loan.
Right.
If we don't think the loan is great for you, we are not going to give you that loan because we don't think it's going to help you.
Right.
So that's kind of our approach, is educate the people, make sure they understand the products, and then provide them the products that they need.
Right.
If they need a particular product, we think it's good for them, we're going to help them get that product.
Right. And what about the graduation? You start off with the basic savings, and then graduate up towards, there's a knowledge base that you need to do to graduate, and there's the financial base, and so like, how do you help, because it's such a community-based thing, how do you help people feel empowered to do that and find the benefit of why should they, why should they not stuff it in the mattress? What's the benefit between you and the mattress, really?
There's many reasons. People come to us initially they just want to they need some sort of a banking service. And I think what they realize when they come to the credit union is that they're going to get more than just a banking service. So we usually start them off with establishing a relationship by simply opening a savings account, which formally become a member of the credit union. With that, we try to assess what their needs are. If they need a checking account in order to be able to process transactions, then we're going to educate them what that checking account is and how it works, so they can use it, whether using a debit card, an ATM card, checks. So we can teach them the basic stuff. Once they get comfortable with that and they do their transactions, then we evolve into a debit card, an ATM card. And if you reach the point that potentially they need some financing, so whether they're buying a car, they need a loan to purchase something, they want to buy their first home. So that relationship evolves to the point that we're able to provide them an array of products and services that are good for them. So initially you establish a relationship. I like to think that we're in the people business. We're not in the banking business, we're in the people business. So if we focus on that, we are really helping people, and via educating them and providing them with the products and services that they need.
Responsible product.
Responsible product, absolutely.
I was watching a Sunday morning, a Monday morning TV show on CBS just a few weeks ago, and they were talking about a credit union that was formed just for the benefit of their family.
Yeah.
So the family was such an extended family that they all pooled in, but they're not that extended because they know everybody, and they're all members. They have a board of directors, all volunteer, and they gave.
No different than what we are.
Yeah, and they gave
scale.
They gave a loan to Jim, who was buying a ring to get married.
Right.
And they did say that there was a lapse in payment, and so they had to discuss the repayment process and the consequences, because this is the group's money.
Right.
And to abuse the group's money means that another relative won't have access to it. And I know that that's such a small little example, but you're only so much bigger than that. You're really the same thing.
The ideal is the same, and you mentioned the comparison to the mattress, and why not keep the money under the mattress. The reality is that the money in the mattress is not secured. Right. It's not insured. Right. And having your money in institutions like ourselves the money is federally insured, as well as we have a state insurance. So any deposit, any amount deposited at the credit union is safe. Right. And we've heard of cases, and it grows, exactly. We've heard of people that have kept their money at home. There was an unfortunate incident not too long ago where someone their life savings, $50,000, you know, a cleaning lady saved the money in the house. She has the house caught on fire and she lost everything. So that's just an example on how establishing that relationship with someone, making that deposit, keeping the money in a safe place is very beneficial to every individual. So I mean, I would discourage people from keeping money in the mattress for whatever reason. There's just no good reason, because you can certainly lose it. Right. I know, very quickly, and you get no protection whatsoever.
Yeah. Like what kind of other? I know I know that you have an upcoming like document shredding. So I know you give other community-based services. So explain a little bit more about like why are you doing those things and some of the examples of some like how you're living in the community.
Sure. I mean, those are actually the things that I'm mostly excited about, and I love the credit to get involved in. You know, the shred days. It may sound like a simple thing, but you know, people have a tremendous amount of information at home. That's confidential information, personal information, and a lot of times they don't know how to dispose of it. And we feel that people are at risk when they have all this information. It could be as simple as a bank statement, a credit card statement, personal records. They really don't need, but they don't know how to destroy them. So we want to provide our members an opportunity to come into one day to the credit union and have those documents properly destroyed, because they will be destroyed on site. Right. And that will help them. So that's just one of the examples. I mean, we just finished a series of seminars where people come in and talk about, how do I buy my first car? How do I buy my first home? And we sit down in groups of, it's very small, we try to keep it to 10 to 12 people, so it's manageable and they can ask questions and feel comfortable. And that has gone really, really well. People are very receptive and leave there with a whole different perspective on what they need to do in order to buy their first house, in order to buy their first car. You know, we explain to them, you know, what does the credit mean, and now what does credit mean to them? Because a lot of them, people just don't know the importance of credit. They don't know if a score of 600 is good or 800 is bad. I mean, they just don't know. So they leave there with educated, and they can make financial decisions with that kind of education. I mean, the other piece of it is our support of the local nonprofit organizations that we do a lot of. I'm also very proud of that, because I love to establish partnerships with local organizations. And when I say local organizations, organizations that are relevant to our members and relevant to our community. Right. You know, there's various examples that I can talk about, you know, whether it's the MAPS or the SCM. We just recently established one with community cooks, where we're helping them, you know, provide meals for these different nonprofit organizations for people who are in need. Right. And so those are the things that we like informally or informally establish partnerships with. You know, I like to think of a partnership as a two-way stream, right? It's, you know, we offer you some help, you offer us some help, you offer some PR. I mean, that to me is a good partnership, but one that's going to last. And obviously we sponsor other events along the way, people that need our financial support, but I'm more inclined to the ones that we form these partnerships and be an ongoing partnership versus just a one-time, you know, donation, if you will. I'd rather just have that partnership with along the year. We can help each other on with a different challenge we both have. So
we were talking about, there's, I think you said 45 credit unions in the greater Boston area?
Correct.
Some of the differences. How many are actually community versus a private credit union that are, you know, not accessible to the average person?
I don't have the exact numbers, but I can give you an idea. Just for instance, in Somerville, there's a few credit unions in Somerville. People may or may not know that. We are the only local community credit union in Somerville, but there are the Somerville Municipal Federal Credit Union. There is the Somerville Teachers Credit Union, and there's the Somerville Firefighters Credit Union. Those, obviously, by just the nature of their name, you can tell they are for those groups, whether the firefighters, the teachers, or the municipal workers. So they are, you know, they're exclusive to those. Right. And that's applicable to a lot of the cities around Boston, and they tend to be a little bit smaller credit unions, but yet they serve a function, and they help their members the same way that we do. They just have a close membership. Right. In our particular case, we are open to the community, so we're open to anyone who lives in Somerville, Cambridge, in Middlesex County, for that matter, but obviously our focus on these two cities where we have our branches. There are some credit unions that are larger. They are in different cities. They're represented in north, south, east, west of Boston, and they are much larger. They're still community credit unions, but they've expanded through these different neighborhoods, and they're serving, you know, they're serving those members as well.
So you were Portuguese only at some point, and then you opened, or has it always been an open credit union?
Originally, it was a Portuguese credit union, so you would have to be Portuguese or Portuguese descent, or a friend of a Portuguese, I guess, at the time.
Could you be Brazilian?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
You
Portuguese
spoke Portuguese, absolutely. And then that changed over the years because the reality is the immigration from Portugal stopped. And although the immigration from Brazil continued, the one from Portugal stopped. So we had to change a little bit. And we started honestly getting pressure from the community where the person next door to us could not open an account with us. So that became restrictive and quite honestly not fair for the people around us. They knew that we did a great job, that we're part of
it. It's not community.
But we're not community.
Yeah.
So we changed a few years ago, a little over about a decade ago, when we changed to be a community credit union, and we changed our field of membership, we changed our status in order to open it up to more people, because we, quite honestly, we think we were doing a great thing, but at the one point we were just doing it for the Portuguese people. And we felt, you know what, we need to open to the community. We are in this community, we're living in this community, everyone is around us. Why should the person living next door go to elsewhere to bank because they can't bank with us?
Right. I
So
think that's why we
that
started the show, is because, you know, for us to talk about that is that, you know, the opening to the whole community from a really great, you know, the Portuguese community had a great thing.
Right.
And now you're sharing.
Absolutely.
And that, I think, is why we have the show today, because we were talking about immigrants who have great resources, and we are living in a community that is very diverse, and if we, you know, we all keep to ourselves, we keep our own cool and amazing things, and you guys have been able for the last decade to offer a very amazing product to everyone.
Yeah, it's been well received. When we opened to everyone, and we sort of, you know, very slowly pushed it out to everyone to let them know that we're beyond just being the Portuguese Credit Union. We're so well received. People like, you know, it's about time, and we want to be part of this. Thank God, you know, there's a credit union in our neighborhood that we can now use, because we wanted to use a credit union, and therefore we just felt that we couldn't belong. And then they do belong, and they're very happy. And you know, quite honestly, most of the members that we get now are non-Portuguese. Right. And people just in our neighborhood, they're looking to establish a relationship with a local credit union. And so I'm glad that we were able to open it up and offer that, like you said, you know, that same, what's a good thing, offer to everyone else.
To everybody else.
So everyone can benefit.
Right. And keeping the name to remind everyone its perspective, its origins. I'm Scandinavian. We talked about this before. Sure. When the Scandinavians first came to the country, they couldn't access certain financial products, so they created the Sons of Norway, and that became for annuities and insurance. Sure. And so now they're a huge Scandinavian insurance company, and now they're also branching out, and they're in the same thing, where it is the Sons of Norway, but they've reached out into the Swedish and the Finnish and pretty much every
that's a great example. Exactly.
Right. And that was insurance. Right. And I know that the Nepali community has their own micro lending circles where everybody puts money in, and then one person gets a turn to go start a business and stuff. And so the immigrant product is there in the foundation of our financial history, and the fact that you guys have been able to open it up. I just wanted to maybe just talk about like the future for credit unions. We've gone through some major national financial struggles, and the impacts are international. How does the credit union adapt? What's going to happen at the larger level, and then maybe with CPCU? Yeah,
two things. Number one, I mean, throughout this whole crisis, the credit unions have actually, I mean, they felt the pain as well, but they've actually strived, and they continue to grow. I think the credit unions benefited from the fact that a lot of the challenges that we had in the last, say, 5-6 years, you know, in general, were not caused by the credit union industry, and the credit union stepped in to help out and is growing. And this whole thing about going local, the whole thing about reaching out to local communities, the credit unions that benefit tremendously. You know, we're now at 94 million people, you know, nationwide, and the credit unions' asset sides continue to grow at just over $1 trillion in just the United States. Wow. You know, worldwide is at $1.5 trillion in assets across. So that just shows you that, you know, in a time of crisis, in a time of challenges, the credit unions actually did better. Right. And if you look back in our history of whether it's depression, whether it's the World War I, World War II, and all these things. These credit unions have survived through all that. And how do they do it? Well, they were helping people.
Right.
They were just doing what they always do.
So you go back to our clip that we just saw,
Exactly.
where everybody calm down, because
Right.
Sam has a little of your money. Everybody's got a little bit of money, and if we
Exactly.
just remember these are our neighbors,
Right.
and we still want a house,
Right.
and we still want those little pockets of money to go get kids into college. And
Yeah,
we
but
also have
our
the same
focus,
dream.
exactly, our focus has been the people. I mean, whether you have $25 in your pocket or you have $1 million, you're still a person. And we don't make a distinction between who you are, what you have. So, yeah, when people are feeling alarmed and that when the world seems like tumbling down, I mean, there are places such as, the credit unions and our credit union where we're still doing the same thing. We're still helping people. We're still there to give you a hand. And, there's a ton of people that had credit issues and now come through us and their credit is back up and they are living normal lives again. There's people that had loans with us, had challenges, but yet we work with them through those challenges. They didn't lose their home. They stayed in their home and they're now back on their feet and they're extremely happy with the fact that somebody was there to help them when they had an issue with us because one of the spouses lost their job. Something happened along the way, but we were there to help them out. I mean, the future credit unions, I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, I think they're going to continue to grow. They're going to continue to do what they do. I don't think they're going to deviate from the model of people helping people. That's going to continue, and that's going to do them well. CPCU is very much part of that. We continue to grow. The credit union year after year has been growing. We continue to grow. We're looking to see what the needs are in our community and looking to fulfill those needs. We're very proud to be part of the Somerville community and the Cambridge community. It's great, vibrant community. The diversity of these two cities fit into what we do, and I think we provide the kind of services that people are looking for.
Right.
And I hear the mayor a lot of times talk about, we speak 50-something languages in the city of Somerville alone. I mean, we're very much part of that. Most of our staff speaks different languages. So we look at that as something that we want to continue to have in the future, going to the next decade or 2 decades, and just continue to evolve the credit union to meet those needs. If people are looking for different points of contact, different technology, different things, and that's how they want to bank with us, we are going to have to provide that.
Yeah.
But still keep that human touch.
Right.
Still keep that friendly. You can come in, choose to bank with us via coming into one of our branches, or you can bank with us remotely wherever you are and what is convenient to you. So it's that evolvement is happening now, and we're now in the process of offering mobile banking. This summer, mobile banking will be out. Those people who want it. We're not trying to tell you, don't come to our credit union, don't come to see our tellers, but here's another way for you to do your banking when you're at home or you're somewhere that's convenient to you.
So it's a future driven, while still having that local feeling of Mary helping George,
Right.
and being exactly. So it sounds like it's the exact same block of foundation for our community.
Exactly. I mean, look at myself. I mean, I love to interact with my members. I mean, as a CEO, typically, large banks, people don't have that opportunity. So I have the advantage of not have a huge hierarchy, not have a huge layers of managers, and people love coming to talk to me. If a business wants to do something with a credit union or an individual, they're looking for advice, I'm more than glad to sit down with them and talk to them about what their goals, what their objectives, and how can we be part of that. How can we help them achieve their dream of opening a business, buying a house? I mean, we're very, very approachable. I mean, there's meetings that we go to that people want to know about something. I'll bring my VP of Finance, VP of Lending, all the people that can help them. I don't just, create something that they don't have. I want to provide them with an environment where they can get answers and talk to people and get some ideas and share their thoughts.
Right.
And a lot of times, business owners that are very, very busy, they appreciate the fact that I took the time to go meet with them, or I establish a time to them come see me and make that contact and, and see if we can work together on something and help them grow their business.
Right. It sounds like you're taking stories from your board members, from your customer and your staff, and the people who come in and share ideas, and you're able to incorporate that because you're such a small local organic group that are trying to grow as the community. That's what it sounds like. I mean, 53 languages in Somerville, and the Portuguese have been an essential component for so long. I can't imagine Somerville without the Portuguese component. And then now we have this product that we have credit unions. Thanks.
Yeah,
to it.
we're very glad. I mean, obviously, I think the Portuguese have been in Somerville for decades.
Yeah.
I mean,
a
probably
long
dating
time.
back to the 1800s,
Yeah.
if I remember. And I haven't had an organization that started in 1928 and still be here in 2013. Almost 85 years later, is significant.
Wow.
And speaks of the fact that the credit union has been here to serve the needs of the people, whether they came earlier on, later on, or here, or still coming, different cultures. I mean, the people have always connected with us in such a way that they felt comfortable.
Right.
And so we're very proud of being able to take what we've done in the past and now, going into the future, offer that to everyone and just be part of the community, of this diverse community, and not just be, just a Portuguese organization. We're very sensitive to the Portuguese people, don't get me wrong. And, and obviously we have a focus on that, but we are beyond that. We'll just love to be part of the mix of Somerville.
The inclusion of Portuguese
Correct.
is a skeletal process. That's,
Absolutely.
So it's the beginning.
Right.
And you don't cut off the beginning.
Exactly.
But it really informs how you are a community. If I think of my Portuguese-speaking friends, they certainly know community, and so we can say, in gratitude to the Portuguese-speaking community, we have an amazing community-based opportunity to save, to learn about money, and to just to learn more about how to help our family and our neighbors. So.
Right, and that's our goal. Like I said earlier, I mean, I don't like to be considered just part of the banking industry. I like to be considered as part of the community.
Right.
And it is helping people, enhance their lives.
Right.
If it's through a financial product, that's fine, but you're looking to make connection as a person and see what you're looking to do, what your needs are, and how we can fulfill them. And establish a long-term, relationship. We have people that have been banking with us for 30, 40 years. Yeah. And they wouldn't want to go anyplace else. This is, you guys helped me when I got here. You helped me get my first account. You helped me get my first home, my first car. It says, honestly, if it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have a home.
That's like a.
It says, I still have people that come in and thank me for a home that was given to them in 1974.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where they say, hey, if it wasn't for the credit union, I would never own a house.
Wow.
And I came in, you told me about it, how I could do it. And I wasn't thinking of buying, but then just talking to you, I bought it, and I became an owner very early in their lives, and they just, still today.
Right.
That loyalty is there because we help them with that first step. And obviously that passed on to different generations, different people. And those are the stories I love to hear about, that people just been able to come to us and we're a life changer. Right. For them in a good way, obviously.
So we have gone through the entire story of credit unions and how credit unions are a community-based service that allows neighbors to support neighbors, owner-occupied,
sure.
and available to everyone. And we have a great example here in Somerville with the CPCU. And so to learn more about credit unions, there's a lot of resources that I think you're going to see through the Cambridge Portuguese Credit Union's own website. We're going to have some material at the library and through different resources. So if you're more interested in what are credit unions and how to get locally engaged, please check us out. And so thank you for joining us to the Voices of Somerville. Thanks to Steve DiCarlo in the Communications Department. Thank you to Roy Dominguez for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Sonia. It's been a pleasure being here with you and having this opportunity to talk about credit unions in general and what we do as a credit union, not just CPCU, but the credit unions across the country, and obviously mostly in Massachusetts. I think it's great for every community to have a credit union. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of local great banks that do a lot of things. The credit unions are very much part of that mix, and to provide the services just in a different way because of just the makeup of the credit union. This has been a great opportunity, and I do appreciate you taking the time to receive me here. Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time on Voices of Somerville. See you then.